It's Monday, and it is the week where we really jump in and start planning our self-care for the holiday hustle. Hopefully you've already done your inventory and you've got that all worked through. You had your glass of wine or your cup of coffee and answered the questions about what's going on in your life. Now is the time to really use that information, use that time that you spent, and create a plan for ourselves. So there's several steps for that. The next step in the book is keying it with the different areas of self-care. So in the book, there's a key for that. And the 6 different areas that I kind of break self-care down into is physical, financial, professional, social, mental, and spiritual. And so those can look different for every single person. And I'm not going to decide what those areas look like for you. That's your job. So this next step is looking back over your answers and going through each answer and saying, okay, this one really affects my physical, mental, and spiritual self-care, but I don't really see it having an impact on my financial, not so much my social or my professional self-care. So for an example with that, I have started a walking routine, and I like to walk my son to school. It's a 4-mile walk round trip. I don't do it every day, but I try to get a walk in at least every other day. And doing that obviously affects my physical self-care. That's where the motivation for that plan came from in the first place. But the more I do it, the more I've learned that it affects my mental care. Y'all have heard me talk about that. It just helps me, puts me in a better mood. But it also affects my spiritual self-care. And so for me on yesterday, on Sunday, my worship was going on a 3.5-mile walk with the stroller, with Jackson, and worship music playing the whole time. That was really good for me, and it affected my physical self-care, my spiritual self-care, and my mental self-care. It doesn't really have a huge impact on my financial self-care unless you want to talk about when I do walk him to school, we're saving, cents on gas. It doesn't totally affect my social because it's kind of me by myself. And then it really doesn't affect my professional. So that's one example. Another example with that is like when I do Camp Gladiator, if I am doing a workout where it's live with other people, or for those of the people who are going in person, Camp Gladiator has a huge effect on my social self-care because I have friends there. It's fun to be with friends, and then it also affects my physical and mental self-care as well. So that's my example for that. So what I want you to do today is go back over your answers, take those 6 different areas, and see which area is affected by each answer. It's going to be different for every single person. If you have a walking routine, it might not affect your spiritual self-care, or maybe it's only physical and that's why you do it. Maybe my trying not to eat at Chick-fil-A affects my physical and my financial self-care, but my mental self-care really needs it. That's silly, but you see how it could be different for every single person. Then there's one other area that I just kind of want to give y'all a little snapshot to talk about and kind of have in mind all week is your window of tolerance. So this is an idea that I think came about first by Dan Siegel, so you can look it up if you want to hear him talk about it. But it's this idea that our window of tolerance is affected by other things going on. So like short example is, I'll give you a personal example. So my window of tolerance today is smaller than it typically is because I got about 2 hours of sleep last night, not even consecutive, because Jackson decided that at 4 a.m. he was ready to play. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on, but he was having a tough time before that. Then at 4, he just wanted to play and walk around. He's so proud of learning how to walk, and he wanted to walk, and I'm proud of it too, but I don't really want it happening at 4 in the morning. So my window of tolerance today is a little bit smaller than it would be had I gotten a good night of sleep. It's possible today that smaller things are going to irritate me. I might not have the same amount of energy that I might always do. And then it's also affected a couple of other things. Just my eating has been different because I had a plan for, this great breakfast, and then that didn't really work out just because of how the night went. So there are other things that can affect your window of tolerance. One that is affecting everybody's window of tolerance right now is COVID, of course. So whatever that means for you, whatever your thoughts about the virus are, it's affecting your window of tolerance in a way that would not be the same sans pandemic. So I want you to keep that kind of thing in mind and think about other things that might be affecting your window of tolerance. And I say that because I don't want you to be too hard on yourself when it comes to your self-care. That's important for our mental self-care, our emotional self-care, to know that you need to give yourself some grace in some areas because your window of tolerance is going to be a lot smaller, especially if you are working from home, if you are homeschooling, virtual schooling, helping your kids do that. Those windows of tolerance are going to be really, really short. So keep those things in mind as you go through and work this week to create your self-care plan. And then today, go key your answers and look at the different 6 areas of self-care. If you still don't have the guide, you can purchase it on Etsy. My shop is called The Self-Care Shop by LKC, and the book is called Self-Care for This Season of Your Life, a Self-Care Guide and Tracking Journal. Go pick it up if you want to have some real intentional self-care this holiday season.